Hey, this is Brian Stillman. We're here at CES 2020, Las Vegas, Nevada. We've been bringing you coverage for the last couple days, and we'll be bringing you coverage for the next couple more days. Right now, I am here in the booth with George from TomTom. Good to see you, George.
Hey, Brian.
Thanks for coming by. Now, TomTom, we tend to think of TomTom as having GPS software for cars, but now you have a whole suite of software and technology that you're here to tell us about today.
Indeed, yeah. So we brought all our location tech we have. We are used to be known as the company that sells the consumer electronics with our sat navs for in your car. But we turned that into something more. So we now make sure that it gets into your car, but also we make sure it gets into your phone. So for example, when you order an Uber, behind the scenes, the location tech of TomTom is powering that shortest drive, so the driver gets to you.
Interesting. I was wondering where they were getting their maps and their GPS from and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So what are some of the products that we can expect from TomTom coming up?
So we're showcasing our map. So we're getting in through machine learning 2.4 billion data points, which we turn into a fresh map because you like to be up to date.
Yes.
We bring it to life with traffic information. So we get from 600 million people around the world, we get their data to our data centers in Amsterdam. Mm-hmm. We send it back to Las Vegas, so you know where it's stuck, or better, where it's still flowing.
Right.
We also have information, because we'd like to drive electric driving or the adoption of that, but I'm not sure if you're driving electric.
I'm not. I don't drive much. I'm from New York City, so I don't have to drive too much.
So everyone that drives electric, the first thing they have is range anxiety.
Yeah.
Do I get to my destination?
Yes, absolutely.
So we wanna drive adoption of electric vehicles, and we want to get rid of that. So what we did, we took a lot of information about the charging points, not only where they are, but also if they're available, because these charging points are also connected. So we bring that information into the car, but what more important, we also connect to the battery of the electric car, so we can see the range. So we can show the range to the driver, and if you want to drive from here to New York, we can show you where you need to charge to get there.
Oh, okay.
And
so
how
you can
long
help
it will
plan
take.
that route.
Indeed.
In a way where it'll keep them powered through the whole way.
Yeah.
That is very handy. Now, what led to that? What has led TomTom down the path where those are technologies that you're exploring, that you're working with, that you're developing?
So we've always been around making it ease of use to get from A to B.
Okay.
So first of all, find your way. That was how we started. And nowadays it's getting there smarter. So through traffic, finding your charging points.
Right.
But what better way to have that as part of your digital life? So as soon as you step into your car knows where you want to go, does some predictions. You keep your hands on the wheel, eyes on the road. You don't have to fuzz around with your smartphone, and you get all that information in your dashboard.
Now, are you working with the car manufacturers to have this installed within the cars? Are these things that consumers can have on their phones? Talk a little bit about how we're accessing this technology.
Indeed. So we're supplying our location tech to all the OEMs. So, for example, at CES we announced in the new Alfa Romeo sport cars and SUVs, we have our navigation in there, as well as connected. Mm-hmm. So that's one example. But we have a whole bunch of brands which are using our technology in dash already. Okay. And we want to make sure that also gets to an even more smarter way with automated driving.
Okay.
So the next step of not only having directions on your, what we call the center stack in your car, so the middle piece of your car, and in your, where you have your dials, so the cluster display. Right. We also want the car to know what's happening. Okay. So we're adding information to the map about how the road goes up or down, if a curve is coming, so the car can already look 2 miles ahead and knows what's coming, and it can slow down automatically for that sharp corner. So the only thing you need to do is steering.
Has it been difficult forging those relationships with the car manufacturers so that you can have that system in place? This isn't something where you can just arbitrarily decide, we're going to have it in this car. You've got to work with these companies. You've got to make it something that they see the value in. What's it been like forging those relationships?
It's really long-lasting relationship that we have. So the example with Alfa Romeo, we started already long ago with them. And typically when an OEM, a car maker, when they design a car, it takes 2 to 3 years before it hits the market. So that's also the time that we work together with them for these next car generations. So we're talking with car manufacturers right now about the cars they bring to market in 3 years' time.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, what drives your strategy, no pun intended, what drives your strategy in sort of approaching these car manufacturers, deciding which cars, because Alfa Romeo is a pretty high-end car. It's not like I'm going to rent one of those from the local, Hertz rental car. But so what's sort of dictating what car manufacturers you're reaching out to, who you're working with, what sort of market are you trying to work with?
Yeah, very good question. So for us, our vision is that we create a safer, cleaner and congestion-free planet. So what better way to do that with volume? So we're really targeting the volume car manufacturers. So Alfa Romeo, perhaps here in the States, is a more premium brand. But in Europe, it's really also so the Fiat 500, for example, is also part of the FCA brand, which also has our navigation. So it's really widespread. Peugeot is doing Peugeot, Citroën in Europe. We also have Subaru here in the US. So those are examples of cars that are having our full stack technology on board. So not only the maps, the traffic, connected services, but also the smart routing algorithms that make your way through traffic and the easy to understand user interfaces.
So what's changed within TomTom that allows you to sort of pursue these different avenues of using your software, using the sort of heritage of software that you've built upon? What's going on within the company that's sort of dictating these new things, changes in the mindset, looking at emerging technologies? Can you talk a little bit about how TomTom has grown and developed over the years that's led you to this point?
Yeah. So funny enough, we started, before we even were named TomTom, we started as a small software company making this software for these little computers which didn't have any even connectivity, Scions and compact devices. Then as we were successful with our integrated navigation device, because we became more like a consumer electronics brand.
Right.
And now we're back to being a software company. But what is changing is that the developers, we also looking for more engineers that are working with big data, artificial intelligence, machine learning, because we need to automate it. So it's a fast-moving technology world.
Right.
And also in the OEMs we see changes, because in the end we are going to that autonomous driving. So what we now need to do, we need to change our map-making technology, where we normally drive around with these mobile mapping vans to cover all the roads, into for navigation purposes, for autonomous driving. That means that we need to, with a much faster pace, capture all these roads, because where maybe you can drive with a navigation device which has a 3 months old car, the autonomous car, it needs to have a fresh map every day. So we need to think about, and that's currently what we're developing, artificial intelligence to really capture that in real time, make sure it gets to the car, but also that the car becomes a sensor and sends back the information about changes in the road network, so we can, on the fly, you could say, update the map and send it to all the other autonomous cars.
So why shift away from the consumer electronics and become more of a software-based platform, working with these other, companies and working with the cars directly? What sort of trends are you following that dictated that?
Well, it's really where we're strong. So we're strong in location tech. We're one of the few, or maybe the only, independent mapping company or location tech company in the world. And we are one of the few that have an automotive grade map. So there you go. We have and so we're building upon our technology. Where we already equip more than 100 million drivers with our consumer electronics devices. So we know drivers.
Right.
So why not take that heritage of knowing the UX and what you want as a driver and put it into your car?
Now, working with autonomous cars, that itself is evolving technology. It's not quite there yet. For you as a software company, does that keep you on your toes with the tech of the cars constantly in development and constantly in iteration? It's not like you can sit down and say, okay, they figured out the technology, now let's apply the mapping software, let's apply that software. They're constantly changing things as they're getting better and better. How does that affect the way you guys have to work? Because it's like, every time you think you get a handle on it, it's a sort of moving target.
Oh, it's a little dance, and it takes 2 to tango. In this case, it takes 53 to tango because that's how many car brands there are around the world. So we dance. We do a lot of dancing. And it's a constant pull and push because we see trends coming. We want to productize because we can't do like bespoke work anymore. Development that we did in the past.
Sure.
We need to productize. So where in the past maybe OEMs were doing the engineering themselves, they bought the map, the traffic, the services, the software, the hardware, put it all together. We now need to go to a much more like, you could say, smartphone approach, where you put it in. You can still customize it, but maybe for the 10%, because in the end, the driver, they want to bring their digital life into the car. And because of the fast pace of technology, there's no time anymore to start from an empty sketchbook for every car.
How far out do you think we really are at this point from self-driving cars, from practical applications of self-driving cars? Not experimental, not done in a sort of laboratory environment, but really where it's something that is part of our day-to-day lives.
Yeah. Well, that depends a bit. So in automation of driving, there's 5 levels. 0 is where we still do it ourselves as drivers, and 5 is full autonomy everywhere. And especially the everywhere is important because we already have autonomous level 5 on roads right now, but that is in sunny states with straight lines. It's not in ancient cities like Rome or where in Amsterdam where you have all these bikes crossing and not paying not paying attention to any legislation. So full autonomy, that's still far away. But if we talk about level 1 and 2, that's what we're seeing right now. So what we announced a couple of days ago is that for the big trucks from Mercedes, they are powered by our ADAS maps, and they do that gear shifting themselves. They do the braking for the cornering, so that assisted driving is already, as we speak, is happening. And if you are in Berlin, in Germany, every Tuesday, our own self-driving car, she's called Trillion, she will hit the road to do testing on the roads of Berlin in the wild. Oh, cool! That's very cool.
So, in the near future, what are a couple of the big things that we can expect to see from TomTom? What's like on the immediate horizon for people?
So really, the what we're known for, the ease of use navigation, that we bring that into the cars, and we'll have really this year we'll get to some announcements where you can get that full stack and ease of use that people know us from, as well as the next generation of autonomous driving.
Great. George, thanks for coming.
Thanks for the opportunity, Brian.
Everyone, we are at CES 2020. I'm Brian Stillman with BeTerrific. We're bringing you coverage live from Las Vegas, Nevada. Stick around, we've got a lot more coming your way.